Ciao, and welcome back to iMovie Podcast.
This week's episode, which is kind of a Halloween special, a belated Halloween special.
Yeah.
Because
you see,
it'll be like a mid-November Halloween special. But you know, the best Halloweens are late Halloweens anyway. Is fittingly the film that Scorsese cited as the director's most terrifying. It's a film that belongs in Bong Joon-ho's top 10 films of all time. It came out in 1997, the same year as another film from the same country, Princess Mononoke. It is Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure.
Oh yes, which is currently ranking at the 192nd position in the top 250 Letterboxd list.
I think the strange thing is, when I first watched it, I don't know if it was already in the top 250.
I have no clue. When was it? Like 2 years ago? Something like that?
Something. But it's strange because it seems to me that... I don't remember it. Maybe it was, but...
Most likely it was.
I wasn't probably checking
Not yet. The obsession for Letterboxd was only at his primordial state.
No, my obsession about Letterboxd has always existed.
Yeah, but it was just a primordial state. Now it's
that's true.
Now it's pro level.
It's evolved. So one bit of trivia that I found out about... the film was originally meant to be called Evangelist, but it got changed because of the Sarin Tokyo Metro attacks in 1995. Which is an interesting title for the film. I don't know if the script was in a different phase of writing.
It was in the middle, right?
But that adds a kind of different complexion to the film. And I guess, I don't know if this has been commonly seen that much. I think it's got some reputation amongst fans of horror, and other people are kind of into Kiyoshi Kurosawa's stuff, because he also did Tokyo Sonata, he made Pulse, he's done a few others. Sadly, I haven't seen any of his other films, but you have. So.
And yes, I watched Tokyo Sonata, which I loved. I gave 5 stars at heart, and we'll talk about it in a second. But, some people consider Cure as, the father somehow, or the opener of the J-horror genre.
Modern J-horror.
Yeah, of course, yes, exactly. So that could be, I guess it had quite a reputation, and especially because the main character, whose name I'm going to tell you right now. No, sorry, the actor of the main character, whose name I'm going to tell you right now, which is Koji Yakusho.
Yeah.
Koji Yakusho, ho sbagliato. No, sì. Koji Yakusho, he won the prize as best actor at I don't remember which festival, but I think the Tokyo one.
We can put it on screen now.
It's beautiful.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that at all.
Yes, in fact, I think, yes, it was a bit...
When we were watching the film, I said to Leslie that he makes me think of Al Pacino in... Insomnia, because he's kind of worn out by life. He's like this haggard old detective, good at what he does, but kind of with a great fatigue wearing down on him, and he kind of looks tired all the time. But I think we should start by giving a brief summary or description of the plot for those who haven't seen it, just to contextualize what we will say a bit.
Yeah.
So this is a horror film, but it's...
Thriller, because it's true. That's the first topic, maybe. It's classified often as a horror, or as I said before, like the beginning of the J-horror, the modern J-horror. But I perceived it personally more as a thriller. But actually, it's a bit of a mix. And also, Kiyoshi Kurosawa, he talks about this going against the rigid classifications of horror and thriller, typical of Hollywood. And he's a mix.
Based on the names of thriller and horror, which I guess... that means that the objective of the thriller is to thrill, and the objective and effect of the horror is to scare. I think, based just on those simple classifications, Cure falls more into the horror category, I'd say.
I don't know. I feel like it was more like intrigue and thrill and wanting to understand than scared. even if scare was there, of course, like fear. In some moments was definitely there, but it wasn't my
Well, we can come
primary.
back to that.
Yes.
Yes, but that is interesting.
Yes. So the story is
So yes, it kind of starts off with the story is like there's a series of murders occurring, and you have this detective Takabe who is put in charge of the case, and then each of the murders seems open and shut, an obvious perpetrator who basically admits to the crime, but each of the murders also has a common theme, which is that there's been an X carved into the body of the victim, and this leads the police to think that these murders are connected, and it kind of gradually becomes clear that another character, I think Mamiya,
Queen
played
Mamiya.
by Masuto Hagiwara, is involved. And he has kind of a hypnotic effect on people, and that allows him to control them.
Yeah.
And that happens. I mean, you see that happen even quite early in the film. That's not a big spoiler.
As the viewers, though.
Yeah.
Not in the plot. It's still quite early, but not at the very beginning.
Yeah, it's kind of him controlling people is kind of intercut with the police looking for the killer, and then the story kind of goes from there. So yeah, it's interesting. I think so. I always like to cite some films that other films remind me of, and the two films that Cure reminds me of is Seven, because it's got that kind of 90s grim serial killer story, which is like quite dark, grimy, violent. You really feel that the environment in which the characters live is very oppressive, and that's done with
colors,
sounds.
shots,
There's
sounds.
like this humming sound that kind of
there is basically no
drives
soundtrack, but the soundtrack is this. Yeah, it's true. Also during the film, Clem Santos was saying this noise, doesn't it like enter you and bother you?
Yeah, but I mean, you see like there's one scene where the main detective's at home and he's the kind of the washing machine in his flat is kind of humming, and that kind of annoys him so much that he just has to go and turn it off because it's like this. Yeah, this real sense of oppression, and it's like this I think like in the context of Japan's lost decade and post-industrial crisis in the 90s, this film has some shots which just focus on cityscape, as in shots of electric lights like flickering, or shots of traffic lights changing, or the noise of cars passing on the street. And those things, not that they add to the horror, but they add to that kind of the stress of the main characters. And
yes, sure.
It's all part of a very uncomfortable feeling.
Yes, also all this noise, and you have to find your way in this mess and confusion.
Oh, and the other film was The Wailing. Sorry, I only said one of the two films. The Wailing, which is a Korean film, which is also a horror film. And again, that in The Wailing, there's an ambiguity about what's going on, and it kind of becomes clear that there's some supernatural elements towards the end, as is the case in
Very effective too. And also there, like the noises are very important and very stressing. Yes, it's true. So so this was basically the plot.
Yeah.
But we are not entering the spoiler part yet, I would say. So we're not going to mention this. But actually, the fact is, again, as you just said, we learn quite early what is happening.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because that's another technique that maybe a narrative technique that is not super, super common, I would say.
Well, it's quite a strange structured film in terms of being a serial killer film, because it kind of, the chase for the serial killer ends like less than halfway through the film.
Absolutely.
And the rest is like a slow descent into madness based on the interactions with the killer, who's got like a silver tongue and he can control people.
Yeah, because the fact is you're not looking for the serial killer anymore. You're more looking for the reason why and what is behind it. And also because the fact is that the main character not the detective, but Mamiya, so the main suspect, he supposedly has this memory loss. Basically, he has a very short memory, and he can't remember anything. I never really believed it, as the detective didn't. I don't know in the end if that was true or not, to be honest, because also he's also a great actor, I would say, because he really is effective in the way he presents himself as disturbed.
俺の中にあったものは今全部外にある。
Yeah, again, he's lost, but he's also extremely smart and aware and extremely manipulative, or at least that's the idea that you as the viewer get, I guess. At least I did. And so there is this element, and the fact that we are wondering, okay, why are you doing this? What is in it with it? What is in it for you? And then a bit after halfway through the film, we find out that he's actually a psychology student. He found out about
which explains everything.
Exactly. He found out about some theories, the hypnosis, and then especially this mesmerism.
Yeah.
Which is like this, if I'm not wrong, 18th century theory.
Late 90s. I don't know, because it's on recorded tape. They have like old footage,
It's
so it
true.
can't be 80.
It's true, you're right. Even if I actually read on Wikipedia, I went just on the page of Mesmerism, and they wrote that the origin was actually in the 18th century by this German Franz Mesmer.
Yeah. Is it Mesmer?
Mesmer.
Yeah.
So, but in the film, it's not a German author; it's actually a Japanese one.
It is a German author. He has the books of this guy, and I mean, the master whose tapes he's listened to is Japanese, but he has
exactly.
the books of Mesmer.
Okay, yes.
And he's read them.
It's true, exactly. So then the theory is 18th century, I would say.
Yeah.
And then the character in the film, which is Suejiro Bakuro. He's then more recent because of I don't know how to call the machine in English. And so what is mesmerism, though, is the ability with very simple elements, which could be the fire of a lighter or of the cigarette, being able to, in the end, yes, still hypnotize somehow.
The water.
Or the water, the sound of the water, or even the view of the water. Manipulate and hypnotize in some ways whoever the target of the manipulator is. So that's basically the thing.
And I think that is part of what's great about the film, because that kind of renders small everyday objects into objects of horror. For,
good point.
The lighter becomes scary. The water that pours on the floor becomes scary because you're always aware that it could lead to characters falling under the spell of Mamiya and his way of speaking. Another thing that's interesting, which we kind of were thinking about when we watched it, is, and so I've seen this film twice, and the first time I watched it, I was left a bit uncertain and frustrated by some ambiguities, but the second time I watched it, because I kind of knew how it would end, I didn't have this issue, so I enjoyed it a lot more. And I think that some of those ambiguities about what's real and what's not, combined with the very fragile mental state of many of the characters, so you have like whole sequences that are kind of dreamlike or nightmare-like, and you're never really sure what's... Yeah. I mean, the last half hour of the film, you don't really know what's going on.
It's true. Somehow. Even a bit before. I mean, you can have... The fact is...
It's just really... It's such a mood,
It's a mood, but it makes you also think, okay, you're getting there. You, the viewer, you're understanding. But then you're not 100% sure. So yeah, there is always this element of uncertainty, even when at some point... Spoiler... the main character, so Takabe, the police detective, he goes back home, and his wife, Fumi, is affected by schizophrenia. So let's say it's a burden on many levels, which is understandable, but also it's all the complexity that come with the illness of a person that you love or you used to love, or in any case you care about. So it's already a very complex situation, and again, it is a burden. And at some point he arrives home. I don't remember if maybe after having opened up to Mamiya. I don't remember if it was just before or just after. He opened up and he said, "Yes, my wife is a burden to me," or "Yes, I can't stand her."
I think it's after, but I'm not sure about that.
In any case, these two events are related. Basically, he goes back home, and he sees his wife hung on the ceiling, which is his worst nightmare. And at the same level, probably is also a relief because you're free from this burden.
Because his wife suffers from schizophrenia.
Yes, exactly. And so that's and you think as a viewer, oh fuck, is this true? But at the same time, in the same moment, you're really doubting that it's actually happening. You think, no, maybe that's just his mind, because also you are put in a condition that you know that everything can be manipulated. You can be led into thinking some things that will lead you to other actions. So it's like all crazy, and you're, in that sense, for me, it's a thriller, because you're more like trying to understand what are you going to see, what is happening, and you are also on the side of the detective, that you don't want to fail and to be manipulated. Yeah, exactly. And so you are becoming the one who doesn't want to be to fall in the trap. You don't want to be manipulated. You're like, no, don't look at the light, no, don't listen to that, don't tell your story to him. He wants always to hear the story of his victims. So it's very stressful, intense, and it's always there, and you're always super attentive, and you care about every little detail. And in the end, it's the little details that become the important ones, as you pointed out before.
Well, and I think, again, the film is effective in that sense because it starts off with two separate worlds. You have the sane world of the detective, and you have the confusing world of Mamiya. And as the film goes on, those two worlds kind of bleed into each other, and for us, the viewer, it's very hard to distinguish the boundaries between what's real and what's from the perspective of someone who's losing their mind. And that descent into madness is very effectively done. And I think it is a very haunting film, I found.
Haunting,
it's
yes.
it's got no jump scares, no does it have any jump scares?
No,
I don't think so.
I could have.
But it's very eerie and dark, and especially the last, as we said, the last half hour or so is quite joyless and depressing, which is qualities that I very much appreciate in films. And yeah, no, it's I think it's very effective, ambiguous, and I really enjoyed it. Reminded me of Michael Haneke, and there's one specific shot that made me think of that. There's a shot after one of Mamiya's murders in a police station.
Okay.
He makes one policeman shoot the other, and that whole take is kind of done in quite a cold, unpersonal way. Like the camera is opposite the police station, like the other side of the street. It's like a long shot. They just walk around, and then one of them shoots the other, and that's, to me, is such a Haneke-esque
out of the blue also.
Shot.
Yeah.
So it's like the shot of the house from Cashier, even the last shot from Cashier of the school. Where you're, it's one of those shots where you're not really sure what you're meant to be looking at, because it's like anti-Hollywood, because there's no close-up, there's no like indication of what we should focus on. It's just purely clinical and surgical. Not surgical, it's just it's a very clinical and distant shot in which you're given full control of what to look at, and it's not neither the space nor the time is tightly edited at all. So everything is shown.
And even the colors and
that
the light,
somehow makes it more disturbing in a way. It's like almost like CCTV footage, That's the impression.
Yeah, but it's also one of the cases in which, even for me at least, I don't know, maybe I have an issue with this topic, but the fact is, for me, okay, it's so, as you said, like clinical and aseptic and a bit distant to like, did it happen?
It's like the ending of Gentleman a bit too.
Exactly. It's out of context. I mean, in this case, in Cure, actually, you could think that it actually happened, because you know that it's a pattern, so you know that it happened. But also, yeah, again, is the first, and I don't know if it's the first time, but it's one of the few scenes that have actually daylight. They are like quite bright. The context is white. The police station, if I'm not wrong, is
it's in
also
broad
white.
daylight. Yeah.
Contrasted with, yes, the uniform of the police and the police male men, which are dark, and it's like, I don't know, a normal day of someone, and then poof, it just happens and move on with life. Then of course, like, there are investigations and everything, but maybe also it reflects, I'd say, the state of mind of the perpetrator in this case, or the policeman, which is like, I don't know, he's doing something very normal, not aware, completely aware, and
Yeah,
not
that's true.
aware of the consequences and emotional consequences of his act.
Yeah, it's quite banal. And it's interesting because some of the murder scenes aren't shot in that way at all. Some are shot in much more traditional horror film motifs. But I kind of like that mismatch.
It's true.
It adds to the film's strangeness and effectiveness, I think.
Mm-mm.
And another thing I was going to say is that I think the kind of real crux of the horror of the film is that there's kind of this collective madness that you really sense. It's like Mamiya actually isn't the only one who's influencing people, and it's almost like there's some scenes, for example, when he speaks to the doctor and he kind of says to her, your male colleagues were making fun of you, you must have been very lonely, blah, blah, blah. It's almost like he's become the voice of their own doubts and of everyone's own desire to kill that's already pre-existent. He's just actualizing it, but it's already very much there. Even with the scene with Takabe, you can see the frustrations with his wife clearly pre-existent.
Absolutely.
He's only just saying what's true. It's almost like he's only saying what shouldn't be said, the taboos of society, but they're still like boiling under the surface, and he's kind of...
And if I'm not wrong, Mamiya also points this out. He says, like, it's not, I want to hear what you have to say, but I'm not inducing you to tell me things that are not there. It's like, I want you to open up. And he has this, if I'm not wrong, he also underlines that he has this power of action, of being able to let people open. And therefore, then he's allowed to, he can control them and manipulate them and make them do whatever they do.
Again, in that scene with the water, where the water spills and pours onto the floor, and you get like the slow shots of the water like trickling across the floor, and the like puddle or spillage like changing shape.
See?
I think it's so well made. You really see like how hypnotic that is, and you're like, oh god, if I was in that position, I would probably fall under his spell as well. It's like
true.
all the sound the lighter makes when he flicks it on, it goes like, chum.
I like the tune.
But that sound again is super hypnotic, and you really see like the action's fantastic.
Yes, it's great.
And
you hate it.
The combination with those items and the way in which
it's a bit ASMR-ish,
yes,
I would
exactly,
say.
kind of puts you to sleep, but also you're on edge. You don't want to be put to sleep because you want to be able to resist.
It calms you down, and at the same time, since you know what film it is, it makes you stay on your toes.
Yeah.
So it's like this between of, oh yes, I could actually enjoy it and relax, and then no, I can't because I have to be careful. But I understand the victim's point of view.
Yeah.
So that's also extremely effective. It's true. And yes, again, like, it's a constant self-doubt of our opinions. The detective is extremely doubting himself, and I'd say maybe Mamiya is not really, but also if it's true that he doesn't remember, then he's trying to figure out who he is and what he does and everything. It would be so interesting to see if, spoiler, if at the end also Takabe would forget everything about his past. That would be so interesting.
Well, I feel like he was starting to forget at some points during the film, to be honest. So.
Okay, interesting. Didn't think about that, I think.
I mean, the whole stuff with his wife going, does she go to an institution? Does he kill her? What's going on? I mean, we can cut this out if it's too spoiler, but there's a lot of ambiguity about the actual does he imagine all that stuff on the bus where they're going on holiday?
Yes, it's true.
Like
Yeah,
what's that all about?
That's also an interesting shot, because the fact is, end of the spoiler, I guess. So you can see throughout the whole film this interconnection between. It's like a bit of a collage of different vibes, even if the mood is the same, but the vibes are a bit similar, of different scenes that are from this part, from that part. It's like a mix that a sort of confusing puzzle.
When the like single frame intercuts?
Also that, but even in general, like we have the storyline of Takabe and his wife, and then we have, as you said, like the scenes on the bus, which is random. And like, where does it come from? We know they talked about at the beginning of a holiday together. Is it there? Is it that? Is it something else? Is it happening? It's just a dream. And you have this feeling for so many different scenes and shots. So I have this, even like, as we said, like the scene where the policeman shoots the other policeman. Is it a dream? Is it real? I don't know. It's like maybe like one big storyline that is easy to follow, intercut with some other ones that are a bit unsure or are more there maybe to keep the vibe on this. I don't know. Yes.
Well, yeah, and no, it's true. I like some of the storylines, as you say, do feel extremely dreamlike, and the fact that you have access to some of the characters' nightmares, more specifically, renders a lot of ambiguity about whatever you see being real or not. And as we say, especially the further the film goes on, the more that kind of dream state, which kind of seems, very vague and it doesn't seem real at all, kind of seeps into the film, which is added to by that cinematic choice of the single frame intercuts. You know how in Fight Club they have the thing of Brad Pitt appears for like a single frame?
Yes.
And it's like to show that he's actually the same person as Edward Norton. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Fight Club. Like he appears like for one, they add him for one frame, and then he disappears.
It's true.
It's like famous.
Yeah.
In Cure, they do like single frame intercuts to completely different scenes. So like Takabe is like will be walking around, like getting into his car, and then you'll have a single frame intercut to like him in a completely different place. And that's like once he's met Mamiya and started speaking to him, and it's almost like he's losing track of where he is and what's going on, even though he's still doing a good job as a detective. He's doing good investigation, but you can see that he's starting to lose track of everything because of this hypnosis or this spell that he's put under, and that's really well shown. It's shown in a visual way. He never even has to say anything. We understand because of this editing choice, which I think is very effective. And another thing that I really appreciated more on the rewatch.
See, it's true, and this also somehow is connected because he's losing himself, his selfhood,
his identity.
His identity, and I read before that. Sorry, because I have to quote. No, not to quote, but to quote. To be honest, basically, I read of this book, of which the name will appear here, whose author is Adam Bingham. It was written in 2015. At some point, they talked about he's comparing it to the self-identity of Japan of that period, because, as you said, it was a bit of an uncertain context. Even then, you had also the metropolitan attack. I don't know, it's like a lot of elements that are, making Japanese identity into question. I put in that. And so he said like about selfhood, and he said here, it's never a unified or coherent concept, but a perennial process, a negotiation and renegotiation. And that's quite true, I think. I liked it, so I noted it down. Because in the end is, I like also this parallelism. So what is actually Kurosawa talking about?
Yeah.
It is a story, of course, and the thrill of the story, maybe the engagement in creating such story. But also, I want to talk about something more, which is my country, in his case, so Japan and everything. So I thought that was interesting.
No, that is interesting. I think it kind of, as we say, it came out at that end of the 90s, which had been a difficult decade for Japan, a decade in which social loneliness, which I think is still kind of a theme in East Asia now, had become a very big issue, and people were becoming more recluse and less sociable, and there's been lots of papers written about the rise of mental health struggles in Japan over this period. And that's something that was so reflected in the film and the other films that came out around this period, whether it's The Ring, Audition,
or
Pulse.
even Tokyo Sonata, to be honest.
Yeah,
in Tokyo Sonata, this souliness and this repercussion on the mental health of the society. Tokyo Sonata came out in 2008, so even more. I don't know, it's so much there, and it's I think brilliantly made. I liked it very, very much, and it's very well portrayed. And watch it. It's on YouTube. It's free, and it's with a lot of subtitles. We'll put the link here too.
Yeah,
down maybe also, but also in the cards.
Is it also in the top 250?
No, it's not, unfortunately. But it's in my top 250. It's true.
It is. No, it does sound really good.
It's true.
I want to see more of Kurosawa stuff because I really did enjoy Cure. Both had this,
Even Pulse, I'm interested if it's
I don't know if it's in the top 250 again, but I don't think it is.
Know. No.
It's interesting, but more's been written about Pulse than Cure. It's it seems to have more of a reputation.
Yeah, maybe, but I think it's maybe more in the genre, or more in the standard.
Maybe,
Maybe standards is not the right word, but more is following the guidelines. And also the fact is, in Tokyo Sonata, because as the movie started, Cure, I had some issues. I thought, wow, original that the first victim is a sex worker and a female sex worker, and we see her naked while being murdered, or after having been murdered. And I thought, oh, okay, wow. I wonder if the representation of women is in the classic standards of if it's that, it's okay. Otherwise, not really care. And there are the two important women in this scene, which are the wife, who is actually an intriguing character, I think, and with some complexities.
The film starts with the wife, which is interesting. There's a whole sequence where she's having a therapy appointment, which almost seems a bit disconnected to some aspects of the film afterwards. But I think, again, when you rewatch it, it's very important and takes on a whole new significance.
Yeah.
Which is why this film is one that really bears up to being rewatched once you know the ending and once you know what happens.
I should rewatch it then. Yes, because also, to be honest, also at the beginning, you can understand what she's telling. She's reading like a book, the Barba Blue book, and it's very iconic and very, representative of the film itself, or at least of what we can expect from the film. And then so that's interesting, and it leads to some leads and paths. And I also thought, interesting that she's the one who is thinking about it, because she could be an interesting character, blah blah. Then actually think mostly she's an interesting character. Yes, she contributes to the atmosphere a lot, but I think she's also very functional to Takabe's character. This said, it's fine. And then we have also one of the victims of Mamiya, who is also a smart woman, but just functional. While I think in Tokyo Sonata, he's taking a bit back, or he's giving more value to the role of women, especially of the mom of the family. And that's, I don't know, I think he matured maybe some also ideas, or he became more interested in the subject and in the role of women, because there's so much there, and how oppressive it can be, and how it affects the whole society a lot. So yeah, that's my take, because that's something that I noticed and I wanted to point out. But I'm interested also, yes, in Kiyoshi Kurosawa's films, and so maybe we can have, I don't know, video in which we will have watched a few and then we will discuss them.
Yeah,
that could be interesting.
I think, though, that I would definitely recommend anyone who watches Cure or who has seen Cure to rewatch it, because I think, as I say, it gains a new kind of. I saw a few reviews that were saying the same. Every time you rewatch it, you gain something more. You get closer maybe to understanding all the aspects, which for sure I missed many things on the first watch. So I would recommend. It's one of those films that definitely deserves a second watch.
In the first time you watched it, did you see that at the end, spoiler?
Yes.
She got a knife. I didn't, Madonna.
It's a small
Even
detail
because then he made me rewatch it. Exactly, I know. Because I said, "Did you notice?" And I said, "No, but didn't notice." And so we will watch the last part, and I was like, and I still struggle to see it actually. So that's also one of the reasons why I think people should rewatch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they could be like me.
Little moments, I think, that were worse. But yeah, so what do you think about the placement of this film in the Letterboxd top 200?
Allora, 192nd. I agree, to be honest. I wouldn't put it too much higher. I liked it very much. It's actually extremely well made. For me, it's not astonishing. For sure, it broke some horror genre rules, I guess. It's extremely well made. Just, I don't know, for me, it wasn't like groundbreaking. But I'm also very ignorant in terms of horror, even if we start to watch more. But I don't know. Yeah, for me, it works. What about you?
No, yeah, I really liked it a lot. I liked it more on rewatching it. I like the way it's made. I like its mood, its ambiguity. It doesn't give you. I mean, it really trusts its audience, which is a feat. I just love that trait in films. It doesn't give you all the answers and expects you to discover some things or to think about some things for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. See,
again, similar to Haneke, which I really love. No, yeah, I think the performances are all great. It's haunting. It stays with you. The first time I watched it, I remember I had to go out for a walk to just get out of the house for a bit afterwards, because it has kind of an impressive feel to it.
Would you put it up higher in the list?
Well, yeah, personally, probably I would have it. But I haven't seen all the films on the list. That's the point of this podcast, I guess, to kind of.
At the end, we will do this ranking.
Yeah, or even we can do like bit by bit.
50 to 50. In any case, this was today's episode. See you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
With we don't know what. Remember to subscribe, like if you liked it. Now we have this new light, which could be good, and also this.
Which a good addition.
Thank you, Marty, for this gift. And just maybe about the last scene, spoiler, it changed completely the film.
Yeah.
I liked it in this sense. Unexpected.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't expect.
It's quite depressing and terrible.
Yes, and it's a circle. You can't really avoid it.
Yeah.
Maybe as life, somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.